There we go. Forgot to unmute there. But welcome everyone. Thank you guys for coming in, watching. Those of you going to be popping in and out. We will be hosting today's first of many live sessions. So we're going to start doing these live training sessions, help people out, give back to the community a little bit, demonstrate what we offer here, our outlook on the markets here at Jensen Code. Today we'll be talking about breaking a red streak, which seems to be a hot topic right now. Currently, with the markets the way they are, there is a lot of tough action out there. So most people cannot adapt or are currently stuck in a quite unique of a red streak. So I wanted to go through and do a quick discussion on how to break past that, what that looks like, and tips to help you guys out and how to identify when you're in a red streak. So today's session should run roughly about an hour, probably a little over. I tend to get going. And once I start talking, so do my best to keep it under an hour. But those of you in the live room, mics should be on for you guys. You can just chime in as you please. Be good to interact. Don't be shy. Streaming community on YouTube and stuff cannot hear you. So if you're shy about that, don't worry about it. Hop in, ask questions. If you want to interact, you can ask the question on YouTube. Go ahead, type it in the YouTube chat box, and it'll pop up on screen. That way I see it, and we can go ahead and go through that particular question or topic. If there's anything in there that I need to pause on and explain a little bit better. But hopefully you guys are having a lovely Saturday. Thanks for being here with me. While we wait here for people to trickle in, ask about the topic. Let's actually go ahead and put that topic up. In the meantime, let's just go ahead and do a brief review of the website. Those of you who don't know, my name is J9. That's what I go by here in the community. This is our website, Jensen Code. We offer full algorithmic and AI systems developed for traders. So we offer strategic morning planning, algorithmic indicators, and review and development. So we're on every day live call all throughout the trading session of the day. We here do not particularly believe in the whole 30 minutes and you're done. This is a career path. This is a longevity, sustainable career that most people strive to achieve, but very little can actually acquire. So what we offer here is everything needed to provide an environment to create successful traders, which is what we strive to do. Just a brief overview of his website. You can go through, check out the videos, the recaps, sign up for a 7-day trial, look at some of the indicators we offer, what the planning looks like. Those of you on Twitch or ShareVision, be sure to go ahead and ask questions. I can see them. And other than that, just go ahead and interact. Don't be shy. Go ahead and head back to the presentation. Give it a couple more minutes here. Let me pull up our chat room. Morning, Pitts. Hello, hello. He says. So, those of you who don't know, our motto here is it's not what you can make, but what you can keep. And that is pretty much inclusive to everything we teach. We discuss how we trade ourselves, how we treat the markets, and this career as a whole. Everything here is everything's everything regarding the market. What most people perceive is that it's quick gains, quick money, or that it's easily obtainable. And that is mainly because of the low cost to entry, right? Low barrier to entry. Anybody can just open an account and start trading. There's literally nothing stopping you from starting a trading career. So, with that ease of entry, usually ends up with the kind of crowd that is looking for the quick gains, right? Not necessarily monetary, but just something that they can achieve quickly. And the reality is that that's not really the case. Right? Most people struggle at this. Most people have a hard time gaining any ground in this career. And that's by design. The market is designed that way, unfortunately. Okay, one moment there. All right, go ahead and start going through the slides. So again, those of you just tuning in, I see a couple of you popping in on Share Vision. Welcome, welcome. Today's session should run about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to try to keep it to. At the end, we'll go ahead and discuss the website and how you guys can sign up for the free chat room or any other services that you would like. So today's session will be discussing breaking a red streak. My name is J9, and this is Jensen Code. So let's go ahead and go through the slides. So the analysis mindset. This is a big key part of everything regarding a red streak, right? A red streak normally starts in the mind. So a peak performance trader is totally committed to being the best and doing whatever it takes to be the best. He feels totally responsible for whatever happens and thus can learn from his mistakes. These people typically have a working business plan for trading because they treat trading as a business. Very, very crucial there. Most people just come in and half-ass this, don't really pay attention to any system or any process, just come in and think that they can become successful at this without any work. And that's not the reality of the business. So I follow a lot of Marty Schwartz's advice, the way I trade personally. And my attitude is that I always want to be better prepared than someone I'm competing against. The way I prepare myself is by doing my work each and every single night. And there's not a night that I miss that I don't come in and do the work of the day. Why? Because I know in myself that if I don't, the next day, next week, etc., I perform poorly. And it starts to build bad habits and pretty much bad habits for me. If I start sliding on one thing here, one thing there, like anything else, right? Systems are built, routines are built for a reason. You start to slack off on them, just like diets. Diets don't work for majority of people. Why? Not because diets don't work, because of the lack of discipline. So red streaks. Today we'll discuss what is a red streak, what causes red streaks, the frustration behind them, common triggers of a red streak coming, and what can we do to break a red streak. Very, very important. All these details here that most people just don't really look at in their trading. So first off, what is a red streak? Red streak in day trading is a phrase used to describe a period of sustained negative performance in the stock market. It refers to a series of consecutive losses and negative returns experienced by an investor or trader, typically over a short period of time, such as several days or weeks. The term red is used to describe losses during a red streak. An investor or trader may experience a decline in their portfolio value and struggle to generate positive returns. And for a lot of people, I know that struggle here with red streaks. How many of you have been in a red streak up or down? Consistently just in a looping fashion where you'll go through, what ends up happening is you'll have a series of green trades, and then you hit into a red streak, right? And then a series of green trades, and you're back in the red streak for a while. And over a course of a timeline, 6 months, a year, you end up flat or negative on the year, where it feels like you've made progress. It feels like you've done great, but P&L is not really showing anything. Statistics are not really showing anything, and you're kind of turning your wheels back and forth and not able to break out of that. That is a looping red streak. Okay, those are incredibly difficult to break out of. Okay, a red streak can be discouraging and challenging experience for day traders, but it is important to keep in mind that the short-term losses are a normal part of the market cycle. Experienced traders often have risk management strategies in place to help minimize losses and protect their portfolios during periods of market turbulence. Okay, simple fact of red streaks. A red streak or series of losing trades will happen to each and every single trader. Each and every single one of you watching this recording, this will happen to you at some point. It is inevitable. If you come in to the markets and think that you're going to be the anomaly that doesn't go through a red streak, losing days, weeks, months, okay, if that's the case, I would highly suggest that you stop while you're ahead. Every single trader, for those of you experienced out there, you can go ahead and comment, like the video. Let me know your red streaks. Each and every one of us has had one. They are inevitable and they will occur. After they start, that is the key, right? That's where it separates the gamblers, the people who just come in here fly by night, from the traders that have a long, sustainable career. So yes, that means you, a new trader and experienced traders alike. All traders will hit a red streak. I can guarantee you that I am going to hit another red streak. Inevitable. At some point, I will have a red streak again. Some red streaks last longer than others. And this is just depends on the experience, the trader, the emotional discipline, the emotional control, as well as the systems in place to break out of the red streaks. Very, very key there. This is what makes you in the market, right? Once you hit into a red streak, what do you do afterwards? Okay, majority of traders are unable to escape a red streak loop. But like I was saying earlier, you pretty much come in, you'll start off on green trades. Something will occur that starts you into a red streak cycle. Once that starts, very, very hard to break out of. Very hard. Why? Because the mind starts to take over. First, you lose confidence. Then after confidence, then you start to question your systems. Then you go through and revamp 2.0. You change your systems. You change your methodology for trading. Once you start doing that, you're essentially starting from scratch, but now with a different mindset, with a different confidence factor behind your trades and what you're doing. And that is where most people start this looping cycle, when you start changing things, making too many adjustments too fast. Okay, so what causes red streaks? Not having a dedicated trading system with exact data tracking. This is a big, big key. Okay, you don't have this, you don't know when the red streak is coming, when a red streak is forward relating. Spontaneous trades based on emotion. How many of us have actually just seen a green candle, seen what we think is a good setup, and we just enter the trade without any data behind it? It's just something that feels good, right? Oh, this green bar, this is a breakout. Breakout's about to occur. We all seen this. We all done this. I know you guys all watch other YouTube channels. We've all seen all kinds of traders do this. Breakout coming. And you get into the trade, what happens? Whips back against you. Okay? And in abnormal fashion, not a false breakout or a failed breakout, right? You can clearly tell the traders that come in to start a trade on a spontaneous emotional bias. Okay? Focusing on the outcome rather than the process. If your first thought when you're entering a trade is, oh, this is going to be a green trade by X, so I'm going to make this much money, right? That is your body telling you your very first sign and hint to it's about to be a red trade, or you're about to make an error. the very last thought, if it's even prevalent in the mind at all, on a red trade, or I'm sorry, on a trade, should be the P&L. Okay? P&L should not be part of your process at all. And it sounds counterintuitive because why are we all in this business? To make money. Okay? But you need to distance yourself from that as much as possible. Being too lazy to review data nightly for trends. This is very, very important. Okay? I would not be where I am today without meticulous data that I keep. Because you don't know when something is shifting in the market. You don't know when something is shifting within you. You don't know when your setup is changing. You don't know what market cycle you're in. Right? Most people just come in. The bad traders, the absolute horrible traders, will just come in, trade every day off the whim, look at the screens, place a few trades, call it a day, and then say, "Oh, I did good today. Oh, I did bad today." Whatever it is, green, red, doesn't matter, right? And then somewhere in there, people will learn, "Hey, I need to pick up a journal. I need to start journaling what's going on." Then you pick up the journal and say, "Well, today was a green day. I traded this setup and I made this amount, or I lost this amount. Tomorrow I'll do better." Okay, that is not meticulous data tracking. Okay, this is very, very key. So think of this like a P&L sheet, like a business. How do you know when something is changing? How do you know when something is adjusting in your systems, in your strategy, in your process? The only way to know that is through data. You don't see big corporations, right? You don't see football teams. You don't see Walmart, any company you want to look at, right? They all have meticulous groups of people that are just keeping track of data. Okay? It's very, very important to keep track of your data. And that is a one piece that most people don't do. Why? Because it's boring. It's a lot of work. It takes hours and hours and hours to do. The triggers of a red streak coming. Outside influence can be one. Relationship troubles, family troubles. You wake up, the car broke down, you come in, try and trade the market. Your head is not in the right space. You're going to make mistakes. First thing, you should always do a self check in the morning and say, "Hey, how do I feel? What's going on? My life okay? Am I in a mental position to trade today? Or do you just wake up, you're stressed out, you're having a hard morning, something's wrong in your personal life, and you're going to try and impose that onto the market?" Financial pressures, right? That's a big one as well. Do I need to make rent this week? Do I need to make X bill this month? Okay. If that's your first thought when you're sitting down, shut off the computers and walk away. Okay. That puts you already in a bad mental state to where you're going to come in and try and force an outcome. Not sleeping properly. Very, very big one. But when I was at our firm, we would have a lot of traders that would come in and stayed up late, stayed up all night, come in and you can immediately tell that they were going to perform poorly that day. Not sleeping properly is a big one. Change in routine or process. Another really big one. Your morning routine. Everything we do as market participants is based on patterns, right? Whether it's fundamental patterns, technical patterns, psychological patterns, all based on patterns, routine, process. You start to change that up a little bit, then what happens? Your mind starts to, it's kind of like a sponge, right? That's something I learned from one of my performance coaches. So your mind engages like a sponge process where you'll start to seek new information, right? So it's like it has a route it goes on each and every single day, each and every single morning. Once you're on that route, you change something on that route. A new view, a new statue is up. Like imagine like you're driving to work, right? A new building is up. Doesn't it always catch your attention? Oh, hey, look, that's new. It's the same thing. Your mind gets attached to that change in process. So it takes you away from what your goal is. Taking an outsized or unexpected loss, like a news event. How many of us have been caught in a bad trade where you enter and immediately get flushed on, blows right through your stop? You take a really big loss and it was just uncontrollable at that point. Days like that are harsh. Days like that typically marks the beginning of a red streak. Because what's your immediate reaction? It wasn't my fault. It wasn't something I could have done different. So then, what do you want to do? Now you want to conquer the market. Now you want to overcome the market. Now you want to make all those losses back. And that is all three of those actions are things that are only going to lead to more losses, inevitably. So breaking a red streak. And this is one of my main ways that I do this. Okay. So these pictures are here for a reason. Notice the peaks and valleys here in this mountain view versus this one. Okay, so breaking out of a losing streak in day trading requires a combination of discipline, patience, and reassessment of your strategy. First would be to determine the causation of the red streak. Right? Was it because of outside influence? Was it because of financial pressures? Did you change something in your sleeping patterns? Is your routine off? Did you take an outside loss recently? And then, more importantly, review data meticulously for trends and changes. Very, very key. I cannot stress this portion here enough. The amount of work that I put into my data is unfathomable, right? And that is, I get to see exactly when something is changing and determine the causation of that. Whether it's something I'm doing, whether it's something that needs to be adjusted in my strategy or in my system, or did the market cycle change, right? So here goes some example of data trends, right? Two different traders. So trader A and trader B. What do you first notice here? So trader A. What did I do there? Excuse me for a sec. Sure why that changed. I was trying to zoom in, but I guess you can't zoom in when you're doing a presentation. So I will not zoom in. We'll just kind of, you can see the highlight here. So trader A comes in, has a streak of losses, streak of wins. He's doing well. You can see nice, good P&L curve, doing really, really good. He is obviously outperforming trader B. Look at trader B. Okay. Now trader A comes in. And what do we notice here? Okay. This is about what I mean by trends. And this could be daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Right? All your data needs to be examined crucially. Okay. So he comes in, he has a big hit, takes a loss, perfectly fine. Has a big hit, takes a loss, perfectly fine. Starts to see a little bit of sideways. Another big win. Here's your first indication. What's different here, from here, from here, right? Obviously, a big win. What happens after a big win? Your emotions kick in, okay? Now you feel like a rock star. You feel like a genius. Okay? You make mistakes. Maybe this was an extra size position, right? Maybe he had a string of lucky trades. Maybe the market was just perfectly lined up to his strategy. Either way, how do you know? Okay, then what happens? He starts taking some losses, recovers a little bit, starts taking some more losses. Notice that the peaks and valleys are a lot bigger. Okay, this is what I mean by trend. We stare at charts all day long, right? We stare at candlesticks all day long, and you would be surprised the amount of traders that never want to even look at their data. Okay, oh, then he has another big hit. Feels like he's doing good. Maybe something happens, outside influence, takes a big loss on a news event. And this is where it starts. Okay. Now he can't shake out of this red streak. Consistently red day in, day out, day in, day out. At some point, emotions start to take over and you just start trading irrationally. Once you start trading irrationally like that, then that's when this occurs. Then you have a big drop off P&L. Where is he now? Back to where he started. Okay. So then what ends up happening? Then you get a nice recovery. You start to feel good again, thinking you're doing all right, thinking you're doing all right. That looping process that I was explaining earlier stays there. And you take another big hit, then you just end up in this long fight. Notice the time duration here. Okay, so from May at his peak all the way through September. Okay, that's 5 months. 5 months of a consistent red streak where you just cannot gain any traction. That is very, very hard on the mind. This is when most traders quit. This is when most traders give up or just get blown out of the market in general, right? They lose all their money. And then you can't participate at all. Hey, in this instance, this is one of the traders at my old firm where I worked, right? He ended up breaking out of this, but this is, right? This is with all the tools. This is why everything we do here at Jensen Code is based on creating a system, right? To help traders break out of this. Okay. Because without all the tools that is, but he wouldn't have been able to break out of this. Most traders cannot. Right. Now compare that to trader B. Now let's say trader B, he's in there. He's not doing as well. Right? He's not performing big gains. Right? He's not having these amazing days. He's not peaks and valleys. Just slow, nice and steady, nice and steady. Takes a little bit of a loss here, nice and steady. Takes a little bit of a loss. Notices this trend, notices what's going on. Makes an adjustment, back steady. Again, no big wins. He's not skyrocketing. It's kind of steady Eddie growing. He notices a little bit of stagnation in his progress. Here we go, just about a month or so. Makes an adjustment, and he's back on track. Again, makes an adjustment, back on track. Okay, has a nice good string of wins there. Continuously growing. Another period of stagnation, makes an adjustment, and just consistently growing. But notice how, put yourself in these shoes, right? Notice how this would play a much lighter role on your emotional health, your financial health, right? Mental capital, your well-being, right? Now let's move on here for a second. We'll come back to this. So, traits of trader A. Trader A does not journal nightly, majority of the time. When we see traders like this, does not have a playbook. Those of you guys don't know what a playbook is, I highly recommend Mike Bellafiore's playbook. It's a great, great book for you guys to read. So this trader does not have a playbook. He just has a simple strategy. Maybe he does breakouts, maybe he does bull flags, anything of that sort. Doesn't have any clue about why or when they work. Okay. Takes trades based on feeling. Okay. This trade feels good. This trade, it looks like it's going to break out. It's about to go. You guys know those type of traders. Just come in and say, oh, this one's going to go. This one's going to go. Okay. Is very susceptible to emotional swings from both green and red trades. Very important. The more harsh emotional swing from this is the green trades, right? Notice when this started. Okay. Nice, good curve, right, for this type of trader. Maybe he puts on a little bit more risk. Had a nice big updraft here in his P&L. And notice that's when it started. The emotions from the green trade. Okay, it wasn't the red ones that started it. The red ones create the downfall later. Green trades are the ones you have to watch out for. You take a big, big green day, feel like a rock star, you feel great. Okay, then you start to lose the awareness of your systems, right? You start to be a little bit more risky. It's not always by sizing, but sometimes you just kind of take an entry you wouldn't normally have taken. Maybe you add a little bit more. Maybe you take an earlier entry without reading confirmation. Different ways to do that, but it always starts with a big emotional swing to the upside before this starts. Okay, has no detailed plan for the best setups and exactly the reason why the system works and how it works. Very key there. Okay, again, back to data tracking. If you don't know exactly why your system works and you can't pinpoint the time of day, the day of the week of the month, what's the entry like? What's the position sizing on that trade? If you don't have variables and scenarios for each and every single one of those data inputs, right, then you are doing it incorrectly. Can't just write in your journal at night and say, this was a green trade, this one worked. That is not the proper way to do it. Okay, now compare this to Trader B. Trader B keeps detailed reports daily, uses data to identify exact patterns in the systems. These exact patterns can be, like I said, time of day, time of night. Is his system working during the morning? Should he not trade during X hours? Should you put on more risk during X hours? Should you adjust the way you enter a trade? Sometimes some trades are builders, right? Some trades you want to build into a position, other trades you can enter a whole position. Okay, these are all things that come from data tracking. How do you know any of this if you're not tracking your data meticulously? He keeps a daily journal, and in that daily journal, he's tagging the exact trade, tagging it at time of day, what trade setup it was, what cycle he's in, how his emotions were, what his routine was, what his process was for that day. Did he sleep well? What he ate for breakfast? All those little details are crucial that you have to be writing down in your journal. You can't just say it was a great day. I made X amount. I traded a bull flag on Tesla and it worked well. That's not journaling. Has a playbook for exact market cycles. Okay. And I'm sure plenty of you watching this recording have gone through this, especially recently. This one is huge recently. A lot of traders came into the market 2020, 2021. And what are they doing now? They're struggling, right? The market is ever changing. It is constantly and dynamically changing each and every single day, week, month, year. This is why data tracking is so, so important. What you were doing 3 months ago, 6 months ago might not be working right now. What you were doing a year ago might not be working right now. Maybe you're on fire. You think you're a great trader. A market cycle changes, something shifts, and your system just needs a little bit of tweaking. And it could be the smallest of things, just changing the entry a little bit. But how do you know if you're not keeping track of your stats? If you don't keep track of it, you end up in a situation like this guy, right? Hey, I've been green all this month. I'm doing well. And then all of a sudden, at some point, you start having these big peaks and valleys. Okay, so he has a playbook for exact market cycles and tips to break a red streak. Again, keep detailed data on all aspects of your trading. Very, very important. By data, that should be time of day, setup it was, your routine, what process was it, what setup, what strategy, and how does that strategy work with different times of day, what the entry was, what was your profit takes. Excuse me. Have a system or process in place to gain the mental edge back. This is crucial. What ends up happening when you start a red streak is that you lose the mental edge more so than the systematic edge or the technical edge. It's very key to have a process in place to gain this back. And for me personally, what I do, the way I was taught and trained, is if I see that something changes in my data, right? First and foremost, if my data is all intact, all good, and I'm just having a string of losses, and a nice early string, let's say 3 red days. Okay, for me, 3 red days back to back is not normal. Only you will know what's good for you and what's normal for you. But for me, 3 red trades in a row is not normal. So if I see that occurring and I have 3 red trades, what I do on the 4th day is I would come in and try to make just $1. Sounds easy, right? And I don't mean by making $1 by off the whim, right? Just kind of throwing a dart and having a green trade. I mean, I want to keep my exact system and discipline down to a T. I want to trade my system precisely. That is my main focus on that 4th day. I will trade it to the best of my ability, and my goal is to just make $1. I will lower the size and come in and just make sure that I can make $1. What that does is lets me see green at the end of the day. I can write in my journal. I can keep track of all my data and let me know that I'm still in my mental edge is still intact. It's very, very important to not lose that. So for me, it's simply just making $1, which is incredibly difficult to do when you're trying, right? Make $1 and being able to close up the day and not do nothing else. You come in, review, check your stats, check your entries, what you could have done better, and see if you need to do this again. And repeat this for as long as possible. Sometimes it takes me 2-3 days. It's been a while since that. At this point in my career now, I'm just pretty much one green day and I'm snapping back. But when I started, sometimes it would be a week, right? I just incredibly difficult to come in and make $1 for a whole week straight. Sounds silly, I know, but back then I was doing stocks. Right now I'm a futures trader right now primarily, but back then I was doing stocks. So it was very difficult to come in and just lower the size. I would trade 2, 3 shares and just grab 50 cents and following my system and try to grab 50 cents, try to make $1 and close out the day. And you're not trying to gain capital back. You're not trying to change anything in your system. All that is doing is trying to gain your mental edge back, putting you back in the driver's seat that you fell out of. Have a playbook with criteria for different market cycles. Okay. You have a playbook for everything that's going on. Do you have a playbook for summer? Do you have a playbook for the winter? You have a playbook for spring. Okay. What happens during the Christmas rally? What happens in January after or before a Christmas rally? Do you know how to change? Do you know when that changes? Okay, what happens during July, right? When people are out, when volumes dry up. Should all be in your playbook. Different strategies for different cycles. Okay. They can all be based on the same system, which is like mine is, right? I have small tweaks that I make with the underlying foundation of my system being the same. But depending on the cycle, depending on data changes that I'm seeing, you'll see me make constant adjustments to what I'm doing. And sometimes it's just simple as, changing the entry by a bit. Sometimes it's just simple as instead of entering one position, I'll start building into a position. Maybe I wait for more confirmation. Maybe I'm grabbing front side trades versus backside trades. It's small tweaks to an underlying system or foundation that already works. All you have to do is be able to keep track of your data and know what system and what cycle you're in to deploy that strategy. Reduced number of strategies and used to a single one. I messed up the spelling there, but so reduce the number of strategies. Let's say your playbook has 6 setups, right? Okay. When you're in a red streak like this, you really want to just narrow all your focus down to a single thing. So for me, when I get in a real bad red streak, I strictly do what I call the whites, right? A white line. So for those of you members, you know what that is. That's kind of where all my focuses goes. So if that means I don't take a trade for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, so be it. When I'm in a real bad red streak, something for me would be 2 weeks or more, then I go strictly, that's all I do. I know 100% that works. I know how to trade it. I just need to focus in and get my mental edge back. Then I can start to implement some of my other systems and strategies. But your focus should be reducing your exposure to the market. Okay, all your focal point, like a needle, right, should just be on one pinpointed subject, one pinpointed topic. That way you can get all the data you need off of just that one thing. Really reducing your exposure is key. Do not look to make it all back in a single trade or an arbitrary set of days. I see this a lot in the trading community. The arbitrary set of days. Oh, I'm in a red streak. Okay, I can make it all back in a week, in 2 weeks. I see all kinds of arbitrary numbers going out there. So in 2 weeks, I should have that back. Okay, market don't care about your 2 weeks. That means nothing. Have you followed all the steps? Do you know what cycle you're in? Is your system going to work in your allotted time frame? Okay? Do not set arbitrary time frame. Your main focus is just getting your mental edge back, no matter how long that takes. And then what are you looking to do? What you are looking to do is gain back the mental edge after being broken. A good setup is to try and lock up a green day with one key point being the process and not the outcome. That's what I was saying earlier. Like for me, I just like to lock up $1. If that takes 3, 4 attempts, 3 or 4 days, a week, doesn't matter. I need to start seeing some green on the screen and knowing that I'm disciplined enough to keep with my process. So sometimes I just have to lock up $1 for 3, 4, 5 days. Doesn't matter. You'd be surprised how incredibly difficult that is to do. Okay, so again, wrapping this all back around to the two traders, right? Who do you want to be like? Who do you aspire to be like in this career? What's the point of having these big wins if you just end up back down in the valleys, right? You are looking for sustainable growth, right? It's not always going to be green. Losses are part of the business. You have to be okay with that. If you are not okay with accepting losses, you should not be in this business. They are going to come inevitably. Not just one red trade, but a string of red trades are going to come. But P&L curve should look something like this. And this is something I stress to all my trainees, all my traders I've ever helped. I stress this huge. Okay? This is what your P&L curve and what you should strive your P&L curve to be. And one quick note, those of you who want to know, one quick fact, both of these traders here is me. Different points in my career, different points in my path, and different points in my journey. I started off just like everyone else, big wins. I was a real heavy hitter there for a while. And what ended up happening is made all kinds of mistakes. I was very fortunate to have uh, good mentorship, good guidance, and good leadership when I was early starting off. So years and years ago, this was me. Right now, I trade my P&L curve looks something like this. Right, and I strictly attribute that to the mentorship that I received, the guidance that I received, and the data that I keep. It's the systems that I keep each and every single night. Right, I don't just turn off the screens and go watch TV or whatever, and forget about it. I come in, I do nightly work just to make sure that everything is working. I no longer want to be this guy ever again. Not a fun place to be in. Yeah. Turn on your audio. No, hold on. Here, I'll turn it on. There we go.
I think at one point or another, we've all been trader A, that inconsistent pattern. Maybe there's someone out there, some anomaly who's never been through the inconsistency, but at least for the majority of people, we all have. Maybe our headspace wasn't right, expectations and goals were skewed, or we just didn't have that trader's mindset that was required to maintain that consistency. Like you realized what was going on and you made that switch from trader A to trader B. The reason you got there is because of that conscious, awareness of your psychological mindset. Once that was made, then you were able to start taking the first steps to begin to think like a trader. And I think that's the most important part for all of us to take that first conscious step to begin to start thinking like a trader and start making that transition like you from trader A to trader B.
Absolutely. I agree. That really the emotional curvature to this is tremendous, right? And it's not easy to do. It's some of the hardest part. It takes a long, long time, long journey to make it. Um, Not just as a trader, right? But the emotional development needed and how that plays into everyday life is huge. It- you don't see, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, right? They're so good at their craft that it makes them good at other things. And this is no different. You will see that some of the best traders out there all have other things that they're really good at. And that's not happenstance, right? It is meticulousness, right? Will drive to do the hard work when no one's looking, right? The nighttime hours that you're putting in, studying, in this case, keeping track of your data, knowing when to make shifts. All those little things are important. And it all becomes part of your psychological edge. Yeah, go for it. Well said. I agree. So that didn't come in on YouTube, but for those of you watching, uh, one of our moderators came in, chimed in. He actually made a good point, pointed out that the flashiness of this business, right, where we all start, looking at Instagram posts, looking at other traders, big days, makes it look real easy. And we all start off here at some point. There's nothing wrong with it if you're here currently or working through this or just coming out of this phase. There's nothing wrong with that. But you do want to start making slow, steady progress, seeking out help, seeking out mentorship, doing everything you can in your power to make you succeed, which was the first slide, right? Not a coincidence that I put this. I firmly believe in what this guy says, right? So Marty Shorts and Van Karp. So being totally committed to being the best and doing whatever it takes to be the best. He totally feels responsible for whatever happens and thus can learn from the mistakes. These people typically have a working business plan, a trading plan, because they treat trading as a business. Okay? It's not by happenstance when you see successful traders. Okay? It's a lot of work that goes into it. So very, very key there. Let me just jump to the end here. And for the few of you watching, I know we'll get more and more viewers over time, but any questions, anything? Now would be the time. You can always visit our website. So everything you saw in today's session, we do offer mentorship, guidance, all the tools needed for you to succeed. You want to come in, check out our plans, check out the free rooms. It's just room for traders, completely free. All can be shown there on jensencode.com, and I'll go over there here in a sec. If you're looking to sign up with us, there's a 15% coupon. Just use the coupon Red Streak, give you 15% off any plan. Come on in, discuss today's session. Let me know how you guys are doing in your trading. Any issues you guys are having. Maybe you need help with something. Maybe you want a trade review. Any and all of that is what we're here for, right? We really, really build systems, built to help traders succeed. You can see here our indicators. We have everything from entries. We go very detailed into our explanation of how we trade, why we trade, what we trade. We know precise entries, exits. This is all based on a systematic process. You can see here the closes. Okay, this is very key, what we do in our morning report, so that we're not happenstancing or guessing of what's going on. Right? Our AI systems and our bots give us exact closes to work with, give us exact times to work with. Right? We have a really cool one here. Demonstrate. Switch screens. If it lets me, keep jumping. So these time segment zones, these highlighted areas, right? Different areas, different times adjustments. We actually have a bot that tells us exactly when to focus in, at what time, what portions of the day. Okay. Again, it's all based on that meticulous data tracking. Right? Come in, we discuss it all on a morning call. What exactly we're looking for throughout the day, what exactly is going to trigger those set of events, and when exactly to focus in on those trades. Once we have all that, then we let the indicators take over and we can take trades like this. You can see this was on a couple days ago. It's Thursdays. So Thursday, nice, beautiful short. You can see here, number one, number two. So what we call our number two setup. All starts back here. We got the number one signal, tells you, hey, a trade will be populating at some point. Pay attention. Then once you get number two in this designated range here, gives you a precise entry, gives you a trailing stop, where to take profits, and how to come in and exit. Also, we can match this up with our Ninja Trader for the prop firm traders or anybody who just uses Ninja. We do have an upcoming release of a semi-automated version of everything we do. So all you have to do is click a button and the rest of it will be pretty much automated for the end user. Really, really cool stuff. Let's go back to the slide. Any of you want to type in any questions, that would be great. Now would be the time. I can demonstrate any of our systems, go back any of the slide topics. Anything you guys want to discuss, now would be the time. So Pitts is one of our relatively newer members. If you have any question, Pitts, on any of this? Well, that's a great one. Yeah. So asks, I've heard of using breathing exercises. Going outside to walk is part of external recovery process. Yes. It says, as a new trader, I'm definitely still susceptible to the emotional up and downs. Do you have any other recommendations for how to mentally or emotionally bring yourself down to earth when things are going poorly? So mainly what you want to look for, if you're in a moment, let's say the heat of a trade, so I want to bring up the topic we discussed about the breathing. So you want to look up bellows breathing. So bellows breathing is key. I still do this to this day. Sometimes you guys will see me, I go mute, right? For members who might be in the live room, I'm talking, I just go randomly mute if something is going on with me. So still to this day, I do bellows breathing. If you want to look that up, I do highly recommend that, as well as far as let me put this back up. So, do you have any other recommendations how to mentally, emotionally bring yourself? Let's say you're in a red streak, or things are just going recently poorly, and you want to make adjustments on how to break out of that, right? Or change something in your system or in your process. What I highly, highly recommend is meditation. Right? Meditation is key. Very, very big part to all this is knowing yourself, right? Not necessarily just meditating, but yourself, right? How you react to things, how do you come down from things, from stressors in life, from everything that you're doing. And a big part of that is meditating, okay? Being able to calm the mind and focus the mind in a certain area, a focal point, right? Which for me, what I do with my meditating is I mix meditating and bellows breathing. And so I can focus in my thoughts to a focused point, right? Where I want to just slow down everything else going on around me and all the noise going on in my head, where I can just pinpoint what I'm feeling and being able to be in touch with, what my performance coach and trading therapist and trading coaches we discuss as our inner child, right? We all have an inner child inside. And that inner child tends to lash out at you, right, throughout your trading career and through your trading progress, right? So if you're in a real bad red streak, it could be something where you just need to connect with yourself. Meditating is a way to do that. Meditating is a way to calm the noise in the mind and connect with your inner self, right? Because I guarantee you that there's something wrong in there if you're having a hard time breaking out of any of these red streaks or any of these loops that we get stuck in. So that would be one way. Also, exertion, right? Everything we do as far as traders is based on the fundamental biologies of being human, right? Arousal, that could be any form, right? Arousal, fight, flight, uh, fear, greed, the main components of being a human being. So you want to be able to express those in other ways, in other factors of your life, right? If you're susceptible to being scared, you want to put yourself in scary situations, right? Safe, obviously, but something where your heart rate picks up a bit, right? Consistently doing something differently. So for me, in order to even do these, right, when I first started doing these back at work, I would go and talk to random people at Walmart, right? Because I'm not a people person. I am not. So the first time I went on stage, I was scared. Um, what I ended up doing was put myself in those situations quite frequently. Talk to random people at Walmart. Yell in a store. Do something that gets you to that uncomfortable space, right? Whatever it is for you. If you're greedy, then when you feel like shopping, you feel like randomly spending money, control yourself on that urge, right? The whole point being whatever it is for you, arousal, right? Anything of those sorts, you want to put yourself in those situations frequently in your daily life so that you have a tolerance built up to it, right? Exertion. Okay, exertion's a big one. Do you exercise? Okay. The endorphins that are released, and this, going far deeper than today's topic, but it's all relevant, right? You exercise. Do you have a way to expel all that pent up energy, pent up frustration that the market brings? You have to be able to let all that stuff loose somewhere, somehow. Can't just let it build and build and build, because it's going to explode at some point in your trading. So those are the few things that I do. Meditating for me is big, and then just putting myself in those whatever situations I'm having, outside of trading. I try to put myself in those as much as possible. Hopefully that makes sense. But as far as being in the trade, then absolutely, I would say bellows breathing. If you're in the moment, look that up. Okay, it says you mentioned meticulously keeping data in a journal. At the moment, I'm only taking a screenshot of my entries and taking profit stops on the chart, as well as a sentence or two of what the setup was. Okay, good question. Great question. So for me, what I do is should have had a demo. So what I'll do is I'll keep track. Right now, you're learning. You're a member with us. Uh, so I know a lot of that we keep, but for your own tracking, what you would want to do is entry, time of day, how you felt, what your routine is or process is like that day. Has anything of that area changed? Where exactly time based, what day of the week it is, right? What time you entered, what time you took profits, whether it was a system that you were trading. For us here, was it a 2 bar? Was it a white? Right? You want to keep all this in a spreadsheet, or just sign up for a program like EdgeWonk or TraderView or TradeViz, any of those, right? And then just keep detailed notes. So if you're going to use one of the services, then you just tag it. This is a white bar. This is a 2 bar setup. And you're tagging the exact entries, exits, time of day, what made you take that, the sizing that you took, right? What cycle you were in, meaning like, are we in a bear trend? Are we in a bull trend? Are we in an upthrust from a bull trend, right? All the stuff we go through in the morning reports when I tell you guys about the 80-20 rule. This is the 80% today. So like I keep strict notes on those, like how many times throughout the week did we go into a 20 percentile? How many times throughout the week did we go into 80 percentile? So if we're expecting, like the other day with the gold move, we were looking for gold to come down, which it's going to end up looking for ES or SPY to move upwards in a false move that would eventually be downturned, right? That would be the 80%. Let's say we would have stayed up and grinding up all day, that would have been a 20%. That would have been something I notated. Just think of it like as much data as you can track, right? That's consistent. So it's not something off the whim, like, oh, there was X amount of setups today or something, right? Anything that is repeatable, you want to try to data track. So particularly for me, like I said, that's time of day, time of week, time of month, 80%. Where my entry was, is my late on my entries, where's my profit takes, what setup, what strategy, how I felt, what's my process, what's my routine like that day. Let's see. Hopefully that makes sense on that one. Says here, what other data should I start adding to better journal my trades and journey? So kind of reverts back to what we just said there, but all those matter. You also want to start keeping track of yourself, right? Did you meditate today, this week? Did you, are you practicing your breathing? Right? How are you feeling before you're entering a trade? This one I don't do as much, but this one helped me very, very drastically a few years back. So what I started was I was keeping track of my exact heart rate. So I have a G watch where the watch tracks it and gives me spreadsheets on my heart rate. So then I would start to line that up with my trades, right? I noticed that at specific time of days, whether within a trade or with not a trade, my heart rate would get elevated, right? So I started to narrow that down to where, hey, you know what? I would get excited during this time. And I was able to work with my performance coaches on, hey, this, for me, that was an arousal period of time where from this X period, so it was like 9:15 to 9:45. During this window, I was very easily susceptible to being excited, or happy, right? So during this window, I noticed that I would make errors in my trades, even though it was a perfect setup. perfect 2 bar, perfect anything, I would mess it up. And prior to going into that, I was able to take that data away from my heartbeat, my heart rate, and notice that my breathing had elevated, my heart rate was elevated, and I was going and stepping into a trade a lot more susceptible to making mistakes because I was excited. I was happy. I was, endorphins were running. So what I had to do there was I would, take 10, 15 minutes before I knew that time was coming and start doing my bellows breathing, calm myself down into that time frame. And no way, the average trader would ever know that if you're not keeping track of anything and everything, right? All data, right? I would have never been able to have figured that out of why I was having trouble during those trades, without knowing that. So that's one example, of not normal data that most people track. Do you have that? And that could just start off with something little. Like, do you feel yourself? Right? You get excited, obviously before the market opens, everybody does, especially when you're starting out because market's about to open. But is there other times of days, right? Or other times of weeks, maybe Mondays, for me, Fridays are not the best, right? Wednesdays are typically perform very well, historically speaking, right? I only have that through my data. Wednesdays for me is a very, very good day. Fridays, I tend to perform poorly. So those are minor things that you can do and keep track of. That makes sense? And that watch one's a good one. I know most traders don't look at that, but you really want to keep track of something with yourself. Make sure you're tracking yourself as much as you are the markets, because every little thing plays a big part. You'd be surprised how the smallest detail of just fear, right? Like now, you guys hear me right in the room. Sometimes I just like, oh, I need some sugar. Right? It's not because I'm craving a treat. I know myself at this point. I know that if I don't, my heart rate, my breathing picks up. So I'll take a little bit of sugar, calms me down, and it gets me distracted. I get, that quick endorphin release in my brain from the sugar that I just ate rather than the excitement of, some candlesticks. Right? It's little details like that. Maybe you guys don't notice throughout the day in the trading rooms when I'm doing things where, I'll randomly go mute. I might just start breathing. I might go give me a little bit of sugar, whatever it is for you. For me, I have all my processes intact and in place to make me perform the peak of my ability, right? And you'll notice that everybody else in the performance community does as well, right? Kobe's had, he had some weird, meticulous things that he would do, but that would make him perform, right? Tiger Woods, same thing. He'd wake up at weird hours and bounce the ball on his golf club. It was just his thing. So you have to find what that is for you. Point being is that you need to track those things and then seek out what it is that's causing an error and find tweaks, find systems, find processes that work for you to make you perform at your peak, whatever that is. Could be something quirky like just like mine, right? I'll randomly start bellows breathing. Need a piece of sugar. Sometimes I'll just go outside and enjoy some sunlight. Awesome questions though. Any of you have any more? All right. So, and with no further questions, we will go ahead and wrap this one up. Again, thank you guys all for who are going to watch this recording. Thank you guys for watching. Those of you who are interested, jensencode.com, go over to the website, check out the coupon code, Red Streak. Let me know you came from today's session or you watched this recording. You can always come into the live room, show you guys how to get there. So just come on in, homepage, right here. Come in the live free room. We're there all day. You can ask any questions, ask about any other services. Just come in, hang out. talk trading, talk anything with any one of the members. Great stuff in there. No sales pitch, no nothing in there. Just purely a room for traders that hang out with traders. Be sure to check out the recaps. If you're unfamiliar with prop trading, come in, read up on prop trading. You don't have capital to get started. It's a great way to get started in your trading career without risking your own capital. So lots of great stuff in here. Come on in, check out the website. Again, my name is J9. I appreciate you guys watching this, and I will see you in next week's live session. Have a great weekend, everyone.